we ran out of gas when we were already running late. So I go up and I'm talking to the lady and she's like, there's nothing we can do. We already canceled them off the flight.
The problem now. We're in person. I got to worry about you.
Dude, this feels weird.
This is weird. We've been together for, 9 days straight?
Yep.
No, more than that.
And now we got to get on a camera.
I was about to say, we've been talking this whole time, and all of a sudden it feels weird because we got cameras rolling here. But first in-person pod ever. Super pumped for this. What I'm not pumped about, though, you're the one who broke the news for me because we're traveling. We're going to get into this later, but off the grid in terms of sports stuff. And then I find out that Ronald Acuña Jr. is out for the season.
That was a tough thing to find out. And was that the day you were in a cranky mood?
Yes. No. It wasn't the day I was in a horrible mood.
Oh,
I was
cranky.
in a irritable mood this day. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's been...
It's because I got woken up too early.
It's been a couple days.
Nah, yeah. I mean, by definition, that is a couple, because I just mentioned two.
We've just been tired.
Yeah,
Been traveling a lot. But that's a tough thing to find out when you're already feeling a little tired, a little off.
I'm kind of bummed. I mean, they were already struggling. The only two things that I looked up about the Braves while we're on this trip were that they were, I think, 2-8 in the last 10 games or something like that. And then I just found out about Acuña, so I looked that up. So who knows? Last time we had a season-ending injury, we won the World Series, so... Maybe.
What if that happens again? Like, what do you think the Braves should do? Is that a sign? Like, I mean, Acuña is obviously great at baseball, but that is wild that the 1 year they won was without him. What if it happened again?
Yeah, in his crazy historic season, they'd have a first-round exit or second-round, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it because I kind of want to get into travel.
Oh yeah.
Do we have more sports?
Only sports thing that I wanted to bring up was SEC baseball.
Ooh, yeah. How could I forget that?
11 teams in the postseason tournament, which is wild.
Because what's wild, I was going to say that South Carolina's not hosting a regional. We fumbled the bag this season a little bit.
Yeah.
But wild that South Carolina, that's obviously the best school in the SEC, is not leading the charge.
I know. But they're getting hot right now. They play better in Hoover than they have in years. They had a chance to go to the final. I believe we lost it in extra innings.
In the semifinal, right? Yeah.
Right, so we had a chance to make it to the final. And South Carolina never does good in Hoover, so hopefully they just got the bats rolling. I'm a little worried about the pitching overall for like a deep run, but I could see a little bit of a run. Unfortunately, we're in the Raleigh regional and got to take on NC State.
That's your team of the ACC.
Happens to be my... I was going to pull up the little Wolfpack thing, but I can't. I'll do like a half one this time.
What if it's two broken ears? Sad ears?
Sad ears.
Sad puppy ears.
Typically all about the pack, but not this week. Sorry, Pack. But yeah, 11 teams is pretty crazy. SEC baseball has been dominant, just like most other sports, but just thought we should touch on that.
Touch on that. Well, I guess it's because last week we had your friends on. That was awesome. We had pre-recorded it, so we haven't really been on in the last 2 weeks. And that's because I guess a week and a half ago, we had a friend's wedding. I get back drive from Nashville to Columbia, spend the night with at my parents' house, see a few people. Then you drive down, and we all head down to Beaufort. I always forget, is it Beaufort, Beaufort? Beaufort, South Carolina, yep. Beaufort's North Carolina.
Beaufort,
right?
North Carolina.
Yeah, so drive down to Beaufort, where the trip kicks off with a wedding.
Good wedding.
Fun
wedding.
And you were right. I did the black tie from Target. No one noticed. Even got some compliments.
Knew nobody would notice. Crazy. But you had the long tie. We were trying to get Joe to wear the bow tie.
I just had to be different.
Yeah, you did have to be different. It looked good, though.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you look good in your fancy real tux. And the Gucci shoes. Gucci shoes from, where'd you get those? Thrift store?
Thrift store.
Yeah. Hey.
And I got my tux at, you just said thrift store?
Mine was Target. Or thrift store for the shoes, yeah, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Thrift store for the shoes. I got my tux on a closeout sale at a men's shop.
closeout sales, if you hit them at the right time, are perfect.
Yeah.
I got a ton of ski gear when I was in like middle school that way.
Nice.
It was awesome. For like a fourth of the price, maybe.
Heck yeah. Can't pay full price for anything. Not happening.
Oh.
Speaking of no full price for anything, yeah, we'll get into that later.
We're about to get into the trip mishaps.
Nah, well, I was going to just bring up how much cheaper everything was in Portugal than it is in America.
And we're talking about discounts. I couldn't help but notice that a lot of times it's just like 30% off, 40% off. They don't do the whole buy one, get one free.
Yeah, that is
They're
weird.
not the land of excess, which is crazy too.
Right.
Actually, it's not crazy because it's crazy that we are, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
But
Think
anyway,
about that one.
Think about that. We're at the wedding right now. It's a good wedding. Shout out Max.
Shout out
He looked
Max,
like
shout
a
out
handsome.
Breland.
Shout out Breland. Shout out Max. Shout out Breland. Max looked like a handsome devil.
Oh, yeah.
He claimed his hair was all natural, up for debate, but he was looking good.
He told you that?
He said that. He told Ben that too, and he was in the wedding.
Might gotta do some testing on that one. That thing was looking nice, but it wasn't moving.
We're talking like Ronaldo kind of hair. The man could be sweating, jumping around, and it wasn't moving at all.
Yeah, but it looked great. It did look great.
Anyway, so the wedding's awesome. Beautiful wedding. I hadn't spent much time down like towards the coast, but not at the coast. It was beautiful there. It rained all day, so I thought it was going to be super humid. And it was a little bit humid, but all things considered, I thought the wedding, the weather, and all that was perfect. But then the morning after, we are driving back. The plan is...
it starts before that.
Before that?
Yeah. So we have to drive from Beaufort, South Carolina, to Charlotte, North Carolina. It's like, what, maybe a 4-hour total trip?
Oh, I'm starting even before that.
Oh, all right. Let's hear that.
Yeah, so just the morning after the wedding, wake up. Caitlin had set an alarm at like, what time were we trying to get on the road? Like 8:30 or something like that? So Caitlin had set an alarm, I think for like 7:45 or something, just like get up, get ready to go. The alarm set for the next day. So we start off strong without an alarm. Alan comes in and is like, hey, y'all ready to leave in like 10 minutes?
No, the timing was, this is what I was going to bring up. I thought you were going past that. The timing was we were supposed to wake up and be ready to leave by 9. And at 9, I knocked on the door. I was like, y'all aren't even up yet. They woke up in a panic.
Yeah.
And so got a little bit of a late start there. And the reason it mattered is because we were trying to get to Charlotte to get on our flights.
Yeah, because we're driving. And we had stopped, so pit stop in Blythewood. Then you were going to go pack, go to Charlotte, go to New York to
Yeah. The major
Madeira.
factor in this is I didn't pack for a 5-week Europe trip until the day of.
But also, we were driving the Tesla, so we needed a charge, and we had pushed it a little bit more. So we didn't have a lot of charge in the morning. So we were late, without charge, starting the trip. It's fine. We go to a first charger. And normally, like the superchargers, they can be anywhere from like 400 to 700 miles per hour, like starting charge rate. And this one started out at, I think it was like 110 miles an hour, which if it drops below like 130 or 150 at a supercharger, I'm like on to the next, I'm done charging. And that's where it started. Yeah. So we had to just linger. We went to, was that a Wendy's breakfast?
Wendy's.
A little Wendy's. Just
you like Wendy's?
I like Wendy's. What's up? I thought you were going to hit me with it.
I like Wendy's too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Self-control. Restraint.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anyway.
Their breakfast actually smacked.
The breakfast smacked. It was great. We get out, and we're like, okay, we're going to just get as much charge as we need to go on to the next. We still have to wait like 10, 15 minutes after we get breakfast to go on, which was a bummer. You're like a little bit worried. Elaine's starting to worry about time, but we're like, we're fine.
We're cutting it kind of close considering I hadn't packed yet was the big factor.
So then we go on to the next one, charge. This one's fast. We're good. We get some Dunkin' Donuts, go on. The rest of the trip's pretty uneventful until we get to my parents' house, right?
Yeah.
So then we're realizing time's a little bit close, and so we're trying to figure out what to do. We're like, all right, my nieces were at my parents' house. I was going to say my grandparents. My niece's grandparents, a.k.a. my parents, were at my parents'
Right.
house.
That's confusing.
But so we're like, we're going to hang around for a little bit. There were a few things that we had left inside we needed to pack. And you're like, you go ahead and go. Then we'll pick you up at your parents and drop you off or drop all of us off at the airport. So then you and Elaine leave.
So we leave, and I'm feeling pretty good about it at this point. I'm talking to Elaine. I'm like, yeah, we're good. We're going to get home just in enough time. It's going to be perfect. Like, don't worry. And I'm driving. I'm going, like, kind of up a hill, and the car hits a little bit of a sputter. And I was like, oh, no. I'm, like, known to have car trouble, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what's happening right now? It starts sputtering a little bit more. We go down the hill. It's fine. We start going up the next hill. It's not fine. We're barely moving. And I look at the gas gauge. It's on a fourth of a tank. Flashback to before we left for this trip. I'm driving my mom's car because my car currently is having some issues. Driving my mom's car. My parents warned me like 3 times. They're like, hey, when you drive this car, a fourth of a tank means that you are empty. And I was like, yeah.
Stop talking.
It's fine. I got it. I'm not going to let it get down that low. But in the rush of trying to get there, I totally forgot to look at that. And, we ran out of gas on the way when we were already running late. Luckily, we were only maybe 10 minutes from your place? 10, maybe 15?
I think it was about 12, 13, which is like right before you get to a gas station.
We're 2 miles from a gas station. But it ended up being the perfect spot if I'm going to break down somewhere because I was able to pull off to the side. And it was just close enough to Joe's place where he could swing by and get us gas. Luckily, they had gas at their place already teed up ready for me. But if it would have been any further, we may have come close to missing the flight.
But then, or like for that adventure, I guess, first off, I wasn't looking at my phone.
Yeah.
And then I think Caitlin said something and saw it. I looked at mine. I'd seen like a few missed calls. So I'm like, ooh, let's see what's up here. We'd already, when we charged the second time, we had just put enough to get going because we were like, we'll just get it here and then we'll get charged afterwards. So I'm like, I can't take the car. I'm going to be way too low on charge. So I'm like, Mom, can I get your car? Run, go get gas. Drive the speed limit to go see Alan.
Yeah, right.
Roll up, hero, save the day, come back. But now we would have left like 5-10 minutes before.
Right.
So now we're like a little bit pushing it time-wise and still need to get a little bit more charge before we get there because when Caitlin, she left the trip a couple days ago, and we're like, I wanted her to have some charge when it landed. Anyway, planning ahead, you're like, all right, now you're already more behind. We're like, we're going to pack fast. Your parents are going to get there. We're going to meet at the airport. We go on. We finally get to the airport. We cut it close. Parking, we thought the lot was somewhere it wasn't. Circle the airport a few times. Get in. Security's easy. I didn't even tell you this, though, but we're walking in. And security looks like a little bit of mayhem right now, but we're like, we got pre-check, we're good to go. And I don't know why I don't normally do this, but there's like a security, or not even security, it was like an airport employee right there. I was like, is the pre-check line like right over here? He's like, yeah, you're good right there, just hop in. And then he closed the line right after us. So I don't know if it was on the other side of the airport or he just straight up closed it. Oh. But we were the very last people in the pre-check line. Go through, it's fine, all good to go. Then we get in. The other 4 of you guys, you, Elaine, Ben, and Aaron, were flying American. We had some points. We're flying Delta, trying to be loyal Sky Miles members. Bougie. You know how that goes. Bougie, whatever. Bougie. We're meeting up in JFK. Our flights are like the exact same time. I think ours was like 2 minutes before y'all's, but like same times, meeting up there, and then we're flying Azores to Madeira. We're like hopping on. The overhead bins were like half the size of what they normally are. So we had just carry-on luggage, but Caitlin's wouldn't fit. So we had to check it at the gate, and we're like, we can just get this on the way out, right? Like it's not going through baggage claim because we have another flight. They're like, yeah, good. We'll ping tag it. Good to go. So I'm like, okay, fine. We get on the plane. Y'all are on the plane. We're feeling good. We're like, you know what? This was an eventful day, but we're good to go. We're all on the plane, home free. The flight attendant comes on. It's like, there's been a problem in the luggage door. The spring's messed up and it's not closing. It's okay. We'll probably sit here 5-10 minutes, and then a mechanic should come, close it, good to go, hop on the flight. We're like, fine, no problem at all. So we wait. It was not 5 to 10 minutes, probably 15-20 minutes. The mechanic finally comes. So the mechanic's there now. He's like, okay, this is good. He's looking at it. Probably take him about 15 minutes, and then we should be on our way. We're like, dang, this is a bummer. It's already been probably by the time this is done, like a 45, 50-minute delay. But we had enough buffer in New York that we're like, we're good. We've got a couple hours. We're still fine. The mechanic works on a little bit. The flight attendants come back on, and they're like, well, the mechanic was looking at it, didn't fix it. He's going on to another plane, but don't worry. We're going to have some more mechanics come by and look at it later. We're like, well, dang. So at this point, I'm starting to get nervous. I'm like, I thought I was home free.
And part of it was also that we had like a quick turnaround. Like an hour and a half?
We had about
maybe 2 hour turnaround.
Yeah, it was probably like a 2 hour-ish turnaround.
Yeah.
But we had to go, we couldn't print out our boarding pass on Azores. And so we had to go to the gates there. And then, as this will come into play later, a lot of times the flight attendants for those smaller international flights are the ones at the help desk. And so just in case we're like, we're fine at first. Like the turnaround, we didn't want to belabor it, but like we had time. Now I'm starting to get nervous. I'm like, we're going to be sprinting in JFK.
Right.
But we're still good. So the mechanic comes, and they're like, hey, good news. We have 2 mechanics on, so one of them can work on the paperwork while the other one fixes the spring in the door. Great. All good. About 15 minutes after they come. So now I'm not exactly sure their timeline, but we're looking at probably hour 20 now that we've just been sitting on the tarmac. They're like, okay, we've gotten the actual issues fixed, but now we're working on the paperwork. I'm like, looking over at Caitlin, I'm like, isn't that what the other mechanic was there for? We have one that's just doing paperwork, and now we're doing paperwork? Wait longer. 2 hours afterwards, we finally take off. And now I'm getting really nervous. I'm like trying to chat with Delta support, trying to figure out what's happening. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're not going to make the next flight.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all are, was it about this time? Y'all were already there now.
Yeah, I think we got there like right as you were taking
Right as you were taking off. And so we're like, just let us know what the process is like, where we need to go, how we're going there. And then you fill in the information that you told us.
So I went up. We had already gotten through and gotten our boarding passes printed by the Azores Airlines. Like, I guess they're the flight attendants that also work at the front. Also, JFK is not like an easy transition.
No, because it's all like separate little hubs in the airport.
So you have to hop on like the Sky Bus. The signs for the Sky Bus are like few and far between. Like, it took us a little while to get there. So we were already kind of worried, like, hey, if y'all are going to be cutting it close, the Sky Bus deal might kind of screw you. But anyway, we got the boarding passes. We got through. We go to the gate, and we hear them say that the flight's like delayed a little bit. And I'm like, oh, this could be perfect, because if it's delayed, Joe and Caitlin might get here just in time to hop on. So I went up and asked the ladies working the desk there. I was like, hey, I have some friends that are going to be cutting it really close. Can we just like make sure that we can get them on? And at this point, I still had a lot of hope that y'all were going to be on the flight, because, again, we're delayed. Y'all were about to land.
I was nervous, but I thought there might be a chance.
So I go up, and I'm talking to the lady, and she's like, yeah, actually, we closed the gate where we give you the boarding pass because we all have to get the plane ready, because we're actually working on the plane. Like, we work that desk too, and there's no way we can print it. And I was like, can I get it here and run it back to them or something? But the deal was it's an international flight, so you have to have your passport to get the boarding pass. And they were basically like, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. We already canceled them off the flight. And at this point, I felt so bad having to tell you, but I knew I just needed to go ahead and tell you that you weren't making it on the flight. Like,
right, which was good.
Yeah.
So you tell us that, and right before, when we were waiting on the mechanic, I mentioned this detail, but I was chatting with Delta support because we had booked them on 2 separate like airlines and flights. Like, we just did the Delta flight to JFK and then Azores over. Like, it wasn't all booked through Delta. And I was like, hey, just curious, like, this is what's happening. It's looking like we might miss our international flight. Hopefully not, but just in case, wondering like what happens with reimbursement. Like, even though it's another airline, like, how is Delta going to be able to like take care of this? And he's like, yeah, don't worry. Totally understand how that can be frustrating. Hopefully you make it. If not, like, I guarantee, like, we'll cover it. It's going to be all good. Just, like, reach back out if that's the case.
Guarantee.
Yeah, there's a guarantee in there. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. It's all good. And so now we're probably, like, 15 minutes from JFK when we find out from you that it's, like, closed. We're not making the flight. Like you said, they'd already taken our names off. And so, oh, man, I'm getting fired up thinking about this. But I was like, okay. Caitlin's looking now on flights. She's like, there's one that leaves like an hour afterwards. We can book it. It'll be about $700 a person. I think it ended up being like $1,500 for the flight over. Like, okay, that'd be the same flight a little bit later. We'll do that. But I was like, just hold on a second. I just want to make sure that we're following what this guy said so we don't have to pay for that out of pocket. So I go up to the Delta help desk afterwards. We like get off. I was like, let me just run up there, wait in line. At this point, we should have just sent it on that other flight, but didn't, whatever. Gosh. They're like, sorry, we can't do anything. You got to go to customer service for that. So now I'm like trying to chat with customer service, and we're trying to figure out what to do. We're like, hey, we might just need to get on this flight. We're trying to find in the airport who we can go up and talk to, and it's Portugal Air. And so we're like, okay, let's go over there. We talk to someone because we can't find anywhere on the JFK map where this is supposed to be. Finally find it. We like go up there under the desk. There's someone sitting there, and we're like, Portugal Air, and they're like, no. I was like, oh well, like I'm right under it. Do you know where they are? And they're like, might be over there. I was like, oh,
they
whatever.
left. We're just chilling here, like
whatever. I guess that you're just sitting here, and so we're trying to figure that out. Caitlin now has figured out that flight is closed, so we're for sure missing the first day of Madeira either way. I'm trying to chat with Delta now. I'm like, okay, it's still like kind of urgent. Like I don't want any more flights to fill up. We don't know. Like, should we just go somewhere in Europe that has a flight over? And at least we end up over there tonight, and it's a shorter flight. It's looking like nowhere has something. It's going to be the next day. Chatting with Delta customer service again, and they're like, actually, we don't do that. You can go up to a help desk. And I was like, they told us that they don't do it. You can go to customer service. I'm doing then. They're like, well, it's really customer care. And I'm like, you mind transferring me so I can talk to them? And they're like, well, actually, you need to go ahead and file the reimbursement case before. And I was like, well, you see, like the issue is I just want to make sure that this is covered and we're following protocol so we don't like get screwed and have to pay out of pocket. And they're like, well, you just have to like file and then go from there. I'm like, whatever. At this point, we've been sitting around JFK airport. It's like probably midnight at this point.
Yeah.
Like we were there or actually, no, it wasn't quite midnight. It was like 11. Things are filling up.
And this day started at 9 on the drive.
Thank goodness it wasn't 8 or 7.
Yeah, you got a couple extra minutes of sleep.
But finally, Caitlin and I are like, you know what? Let's just book a flight. They're saying we got to go this way. I'm going to go do it. And so she books it through Air Portugal, and we leave from Newark. So we booked the hotel. We're like, okay, they said they're covering it. We're good to go. We'll book this. So we spend the night in New York near JFK, grab a bagel, few things the next day, go over to, we're going to get super early to the airport. We got there probably 3 hours before it started boarding, like just chilling at the terminal. I'm like,
just in case.
I'm like, there's no, like, whatever. I don't want to miss anything. Like,
right.
We're going to be good. Yeah. Here to go. That flight goes all fine. Submit all the reimbursement to land to Madeira and see that it's been rejected because they're like, oh, it wasn't a 3-hour delay.
And this is after missing a day.
After missing a day
Missing
already.
a day of vacation.
And so I was like, you know what? At this point, that was the day that I was talking about earlier. I was so heated about it. I was like, I had a guarantee. We tried everything. Y'all wouldn't even let me confirm it anywhere. So now we'd spent $3,000 out of pocket. And then I'm like, we would have tried to find cheaper flights or like another day or like gotten scrappy because like we had just paid for the vacation. We're not trying to do that on top of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like heated that day, and Caitlin was like, they probably just declined it because they didn't have all the information. Like I just assumed they were looking at my whole file. So all that to say, no idea what's happened with the flight, but we missed a day of Madeira, which was sick because during that day, you guys were having a time.
We did some fun stuff. I just want to quickly say it's hilarious that the day started off with y'all waking up late. We had to charge the Tesla. We ran out of gas. I still had to quickly pack. And the worst probably casualty of all of this for me was that I left my running shoes, which was the number one thing I wanted to bring on this trip. And I wanted to do runs in every spot we went to.
Because you were roasting me. You were like, oh, I was like, Alan, dude, I don't know if I'm going to have room for running shoes. Like, I might have to take it off. And you're like, oh, why would you take that off? If I forget everything else, the one thing I'm going to have are my running shoes. I was like, are you just going to wear them? You're like, yeah, I'll wear them. Like, I'm going to have my running shoes.
The only thing I'm not going to forget is the drone and the running shoes.
You remembered one of them.
I did. The drone wasn't getting left either way. The running shoes, it was just like, it's such a blur because I was planning on tying them to my bag. Like, I wasn't going to throw them in my bag. And I meant to do it right when we were leaving the door. And it was just a quick turnover. And I realized 5 minutes into the drive. And we could have turned around and gotten them. But Elaine wasn't going to let that happen because she wasn't missing a flight. I would have risked it to get them. But we don't have TSA pre. We were cutting it close anyway. So probably a good thing I left them just in case. But it's hilarious that all that was going on with me. Us getting to the airport without TSA pre, and then y'all are the ones that got left behind.
And another funny detail.
Not hilarious, but ironic.
It is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
The other ironic and borderline hilarious detail with this is probably for the last hour and change of our drive from Beaufort to Colombia, you and I were arguing about aquifers and springs because if you remember a couple episodes ago, we were drafting bodies of water, which I was right, but we don't have to get
I'm
into
so
it.
tired
Whatever.
of talking about those.
But we were debating because Alan said on the episode, he's like, I want the spring. It's part of the aquifer. And so we were just like having fun debating it the whole ride.
Having fun, or Joe was being overly ridiculous about it. You know, either
overly
way.
logical. Is that what it is?
Persistent.
But the issue with the plane that kept us from making our international flight was that the spring was messed up, which is hilarious.
Should have drafted Aquifer, brother. You'd have had Springs with you.
Maybe Springs were like, hey, just want you to know we are our own independent thing. Stop trying to lump us in with everything else. We're going to make a fuss.
I think they would have done that to me if they were worried about it.
Maybe they got confused.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway.
You know. But, yeah, anyway, while y'all are chilling in New York, not trying to rub it in, but we had a good time in Madeira. So we get to Madeira. Also, Madeira is just an island off of Portugal.
They call it the Hawaii of Europe, right?
I said just an island. That was crazy. Madeira is an island off of Portugal. And, yeah, another name. There's a ton of names for it, apparently. But one of them is the Hawaii of Europe.
Also, ironically, it's a Portuguese island, but it's not off of Portugal. It's like off of Morocco, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. I didn't really look at a map before.
Yeah, it's on the African tectonic plate.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in Africa, but it's an island that's owned by Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we fly in and get the rental car, start driving. Our buddy Ben is driving. We want to hit a coffee shop. So we go into where the big town of Funchal is, and we start driving up the mountain because there's a coffee shop up there that's supposed to have a pretty good view. So we're going up this mountain, and we realize that driving in Portugal, especially Madeira, is much different than driving in the U.S. There's not a lot of lines on the road. The roads are all very, very skinny, and everybody's going all kinds of ways. So tight roads, we're going up. There's buses whipping around curves on like what should be a one-way in the U.S., but you kind of just like pull over to the side
like
and let
interstate
people pass.
lanes are probably as wide as these two-way roads.
Yeah, it's a two-way road, but it's like the size of a one-way road. And so you're just kind of trying not to hit people going up. And we're driving, and one of the big things in Madeira, like basically a tourist thing, is they ride down these things that they call toboggans. Essentially, it's just a couch that two people are pushing, two people are sitting on, and you're just sliding down the hill on the road. And two toboggans are coming directly for us on a one-way road, essentially. And
y'all just had an all-night flight, first time driving in the new country.
First time driving.
That's nuts.
I look over at Ben, and he's like,
what do I do?
And the toboggan driver or whatever, the people pushing it down, just like point one way. So he goes there, and then they just kind of slide by.
Hey, shout out them for looking out for him.
Yeah, I mean, hopping off the plane and immediately hopping into that drive was something crazy. Because
wish I could have known. Wish I could have said something.
Super steep, real tight roads. But yeah, by the time you got there, we were kind of confident driving.
Oh, y'all were whipping around.
We felt pretty good at that point. But
kind of bummed I missed out on that.
Yeah, initially it was like, oh, dude, this is going to be a rough driving trip. But the first day didn't go without, like, you know, the first day was the worst weather day, I'll say, by far.
What did y'all do that first day?
We honestly didn't do a whole bunch. We were pretty tired from it was an overnight flight.
Yeah.
Got there, got coffee, went back to the place. There's a little beach that was close to the house. Mm-hmm. And so we pretty much just went and chilled down on the beach, but it was kind of chilly. Like, it was in the high 60s and overcast. And I was kind of worried, like, that it was going to be like that the entire time on the trip because, you know, it was fine being outside, but it wasn't the most enjoyable thing to sit out in the sun there. But anyway, we did that, and then we just called a sweet sunset because you didn't want to pack the day. We were pretty tired, and we planned on getting up early the next morning for the hike that we had planned on doing together, which is tough.
But it's fine. Y'all only got cursed with perfect weather for it.
Yeah. So the hike, it's the hike to the tallest point on Madeira Island, and it's very weather dependent. So a lot of times there's just like cloud coverage.
There's like no visibility out.
But Tuesday, which is the day that y'all are flying in, was the best day to do it. So we ripped it there early that morning. It was beautiful. It was great. We didn't get to do the entire hike because we had to pick y'all up at the airport. which is fine.
Wow. What an
so
inconvenience.
we caught a stray from that whole deal too, because we could have done more of the hike. But yeah, it's okay.
Fair.
But that was awesome. Wish we could have done the whole thing with you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And then
we go to grab a little coffee with you guys. Caitlin said, "I'm sad we missed this." But she said that like we split up, obviously boys table, girls table. And while they're sitting there, she said this older lady just like came up to her and was like, "Coochie coochie," and just started tickling her toes.
Yeah, and so if anybody knows if that's a thing they do,
please let us know.
In Portugal or any of Europe, let us know. But I think it was just like a one-off random lady that wanted to grab her toes.
Yeah, we haven't, in the week we spent there afterwards, more or less, I guess 5 days, didn't experience that again. But were we wearing enough sandals? That's the real question.
Yeah, I didn't wear sandals out after that, maybe specifically because of that, subconsciously. I didn't think about it.
She said she even looked around, though. Is that like a weird thing to have your toes out? Like, is that dogs out? It's not appreciated.
Right.
Looked around like everyone's wearing sandals.
Yeah.
So it wasn't cultural faux pas. Anyway, we go there. Then we go to a natural pool. I was about to say natural springs. Natural pool afterwards, which was pretty sweet. There was a paid one. It was kind of lame. Then a free one, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was sweet. It's just like some rock outcroppings right on the coastline, and the ocean water just pours over into it. So thinking of that, if you have ocean, do you get natural pools with it?
I think if you get springs, I do.
I would agree.
Nice. Very civil.
We agreed. First time in like a week.
First time on the pod.
That's crazy. But the pools were awesome. And the entire Madeira coastline is just awesome because it's just giant cliffs, giant mountains dumping off into the water. So the backdrop of everything was sweet.
Seriously, anywhere you looked, like in the pools, I feel like a lot of times there's like a beautiful view when you're looking out. Anywhere you turned looked awesome.
Yeah.
Like the island was just insane. I don't think I could say like enough about that.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things on the island may have not even been like a natural thing. So after we did the pools, we went to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said Sexial Beach. I don't know.
Like that.
Something like that.
Sounds
it's like
right.
a little black sand beach, which is the only kind of natural beach they have. Also, a little tidbit. They have a couple white sand beaches, but they import the sand from Morocco every year. I don't know if you knew that.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so like the beach right by our place, the sand was imported from Morocco. Yeah, weird. But anyway, black sand beach. Me and Ben are chilling on the beach, and we're like, let's go explore this little town a little bit. So we're just walking up through the town, and we come across something called a snack bar. Basically, it's just like a little convenience store that sells pretty much anything you can want. You got coffee, alcohol, snacks. So we sit there, have a couple coffees, have a couple beers. Great experience. So if you're ever around Portugal, make sure you go to a snack bar.
They're awesome.
It just feels like a little neighborhood.
Y'all hung out there for like 3 hours. I took a nap on the beach.
Yeah.
Y'all were hanging out there. It looked awesome.
Just like a little neighborhood get-together spot.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Then that was pretty much the end of that day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess we went out to eat.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. Then the next day, they're all running together already. Was that the cable car?
The big thing on the next day was the cable car.
That was cool. So I don't remember what the town was called, but it was cable. Well, we were trying to figure out what to do. There's options. Obviously, everything's like beautiful. There were some wineries. There were some natural waterfalls, which we tried to go to. Well, the waterfalls all over the island, but there's one where I think wasn't there like 20-something falls come together?
Yeah. A bunch of falls coming together. We wanted to do a hike where we could see a bunch of waterfalls in one hike. We get to the hike, and I don't think we really knew where we were going.
No, there were like a few places. Everyone was in rain gear and boots and hiking stuff, and we're like, we're all in white tennis shoes. I guess it's fine.
Right.
So then we finally, we park at one place. We walk down to where there is like a trailhead, and someone was coming up, and she was like, looking at us, is like, yeah, I mean, you can do the hike. The road might be better. And we're like, so is it like pretty steep and slick? She's like, yeah.
Right.
And she's like, what if we came down this one and then walked up the road? And she's like, well, if you're going to do one of each, I would come down the road and walk up this because it's slick. And so Alan and I were down to keep going. But I think the consensus was, let's go check out the road, see what's happening from there. So then we go back up to the top, which wasn't a super far walk. A lot of poo-poo on the road, which beware in the white shoes. Just a tidbit. Get back to the top. Y'all are looking at the map. And then was the road not at that area? I couldn't figure out what was happening.
It was. We couldn't really figure. I think what it boils down to is we were at the wrong trailhead for the hike we initially wanted to do.
Okay.
And we could have went and tried to find the other trailhead, but at that point we were all just kind of it's been a lot. It's wet out here.
And there's plenty of other things we're trying to do during the day. You know?
So we ended up just zipping it over to this place called the Fanal Forest. It's just up in the clouds and has these mystical looking trees. Pretty sweet. Honestly looked like Lord of the Rings kind of deal, which was cool. And then after that, we went over to the cable car area.
Which was pretty awesome because it's like a cliff. You're on the top. How far is it was essentially, I think, like 3/4 of a mile of elevation, something like that, going straight down. Take the cable car down. Good experience. We thought it was a town at the bottom. We saw a restaurant.
Am I skipping over? I think you downplayed this cable car experience. We get there, and it is a cable car that is at a 98% incline. It's coming up and down this mountain at 98%, which is just crazy.
98%. I guess
at the very top. So it kind of goes all kind of curves off. But yeah, I read a sign that said at the top it's 98%.
That's just wild because I would have called it 82%. But I mean, I don't doubt the sign.
Yeah, that's what it said. And I'm looking down, and I like doing things that are kind of sketchy, but that I have a little bit of control over.
Yeah, you don't trust anything else.
On a cable car, you don't have any control. If you fall, you're going straight down. Like a helicopter, you fall, you're going straight down.
Right.
Plane, you can kind of glide it out. You're not gliding out a cable car. Anyway, we get on it, and it's fine. It's pretty cool, but it definitely looks pretty sketchy.
And the view's awesome. I mean, the whole time, it was raining a little bit, but still, just trying to soak in the view. We get down to the bottom. We looked up online, I guess, that there was a restaurant down the bottom. We see some houses and things. We're like, this is sweet. Don't know what's happening. We walk and find one. Apparently one singular dude lives in the town, and the restaurant is his home, which is even more awesome.
Right.
So we get there. He was making some pasta with tuna. It looked so good.
Looked awesome.
Then we find out, we look around. We're like, they don't take card here. And we're like, euros only? And he's like, yeah. And we're like, oh, bummer. Anyway.
We had 18 euros with us, which was just enough to get us some beers. So
right.
Got that. That was
fine.
So
we got that, but we're like, never mind on the food.
Which was tough. It looked so good.
And then it comes out, and we see it after we said no. And we thought it was going to be good. It looked even better than that. Also, later on, we find out, we'll get into this later, but we were talking to a local, hanging out with them. We're like, what's the best food? What are the things to do? He's like, definitely the tuna, but you need to get it from a local, not a restaurant.
We had a perfect opportunity.
But so anyway, some people are starting to get hungry now because we didn't get the food there. So we're like, okay, we'll go back up to the top, get food there. So we split up. Half the people go back to get in line for the cable car, assuming there might be a little bit of a line. The other three of us just walk down, see some more. It looks awesome. We're taking our sweet time because I found out there are no snakes. And so I'm like, no snakes on this island. I'm going to traipse through all the brush and everything. There's no danger. And so we're doing that, looking out, taking in on the views, come back to the cable car. And it looks like they haven't moved. There's maybe 10 people in line behind them.
Yeah.
And it's looking like a hot minute. And so we had seen at the top that there was a hike. And we were supposed to ride the cable car back up. But Alan and I were like, you know what? We're fine if we don't eat. It looks like they're probably going to be at least 45 minutes before they get to the top. And then it's going to be probably an hour, 45 minutes, an hour before they eat.
Yeah.
So we have an hour and a half. The hike was, I think it was 1.25 miles, something like that.
But straight up.
But yeah,
straight
I'm pretty sure the total one was 3/5 of a mile of elevation and 6/5 of a mile distance. So essentially it's 2/1 is the slope on this thing. But we're like, we got it. We don't have water or anything, but we just decided to send it up, which I'm super pumped we did because you can say more, but I thought this hike was one of the favorite things that I did in Madeira at least.
Yeah, for sure. It's just cool. It's just up a cliffside the whole way, just zigzagging up. And I think we both wanted to do a strenuous hike on this trip.
And I missed the hike that morning.
And we missed the hike that morning, so I'm glad we did it too.
Yeah, so we sent it up. We stopped probably 100 meters from the top to just soak in. There's I was going to say a little pasture area, a little grass ledge that we sat on and chilled, flew the drone from there. We're like, this is awesome. We'll just wait. But then we were starting to get nervous that everyone else was waiting on us. We didn't want them to get mad at us. So we make it the rest of the way up. And they had just gotten up there maybe like 15 minutes before. Yeah. Like if we hadn't stopped, it would have been about the same time.
Yeah, right. But, which I still wish we would have beat them up there. But
that would have been awesome.
Flying the drone and stuff was pretty cool.
It was worth it. But also, it was also worth it because could you imagine how insufferable we would have been if we'd beat them up?
I don't think I would have said much about it.
Yeah, you might. Your face would have.
Oh, yeah. I would have just been like, oh, you were worried about waiting on us, huh? That's crazy.
That's crazy. Anyway, that was pretty much the end of that day. We went to caught sunset at the beach. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty cool sunset. And then we eat right there. And then, like a typical dumb American, when we're paying, I just hand the guy my card because I just assume what they're doing. And he was super cool. He's like, you don't do that here. You just wait, and then we'll come and we'll tap it. He's like, what do you do if someone like commits fraud? And we're like, call the credit card company and make it their problem, I guess.
I've had to do that a couple times.
Yeah, we're like, I guess we just let them commit fraud. But anyway, we just strike up a conversation with this guy. He's from South Africa. His family's from Madeira. The rest is nuclear family has been in South Africa for a while, and he's been back in Madeira for, I think, about 4 or 5 years. So we're catching up with him. And we're like, do you have any cool recommendations around here? And he mentioned this bar that was actually one we had gone to a little bit earlier. And so we're like, well, that's crazy. We were there. And he's like, yeah, I've got a farm right there. And we're like, whoa, we were admiring farmland when we were there. And so we strike up, was talking about it some more. And he's like, well, if you want to come by sometime, why don't you do it? And we're like, we would love to. He's like, yeah, anytime before 3 tomorrow. And so first thing in the morning, we go straight there.
Yeah, and I was a little semi-skeptical because people make a lot of like empty promises, I feel like, in those kind of situations.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, come by whenever, and then you go to do it and they just dodge.
Yeah.
But no, he like messaged back right away. Like he was excited.
He was probably half as pumped as we were because we were stoked for this. So we get there. He's got banana trees. He's got like a winery there. He's got old grapes. It used to be a functioning winery. Now it's just like the grapes. Sweet potatoes. What else? Like regular potatoes. Everything, it seemed like.
Sugarcane. Yeah, he cut off some little strips of sugarcane for us to chew on, and so good. Natural sugarcane juice is awesome. Mm-hmm. He gave us this big bushel of bananas. Just being so generous, like just showing us around everywhere. Gave us like little bananas to eat there. I think those were the best bananas I've had.
I think so.
In
those
my entire
so
life.
Good.
They were just fresh, like just tasted a little sweeter
Amazing.
than the bananas you get in the store, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's mostly what it was.
Yeah, so we just like walked all around. He had cows. He had all these things. It was super cool. And that's where he tells us about the tuna. We're like, oh, man, we just missed out on that yesterday.
Missed the tuna, yep.
But good to know. Next time, I want to come back, hang out with them. But it was awesome. He was telling us about everything, super generous and kind, and walked us around for probably an hour and a half.
Yeah,
right?
We were there for over an hour.
A really great experience, like genuine, kind person. And so that was awesome. Then we go try to hit the hike. I wanted to catch it because, the hike that y'all had done the morning before the airport, I was like, it would be cool if we can go back. And that was our initial plan. But then we decided to do that same hike essentially has 2 peaks that both of them have a trail from it that meet in the middle. And so we're like, why don't we go get the other one? It'll be kind of same, but instead of y'all having to do the same hike twice, it's a new map unlocked.
Yeah, so we do the hike. I will say it wasn't nearly as cool as the hike we did on the first day, but it was probably because of the cloud cover. I don't think if we went back to the same spot, it would have been any different, really. But yeah, just clouds everywhere. Still glad we did it, though.
Yeah, the views were still really good, but obviously just couldn't see as far or things weren't as clear. But glad we did it, came back, and then we pretty much just went straight to the airport, right? Yeah. We had lunch right before the hike up there and then came back down, went to the airport, went to Lisbon, which was a cool city. Food was great in Lisbon. We just pretty much bopped around, chilled at the port a little bit.
Yeah, Lisbon's sweet because it's like an old capital city. Mm-hmm. I think it's the second oldest continuous capital city in Europe.
Yeah, we were trying to figure this out because our guesses were Athens and Rome had been around longer, but
I think it's like it must be continuous. But the roads are just all made of rock, basically, which is pretty sweet. The buildings you can tell they've been around for a while. and it's right by the coast. So a lot of history, right on a coastal town, which is pretty sweet. I really enjoyed Lisbon. It felt like, for a big city, it felt really safe, too.
And then everyone was super nice.
Everyone was super nice.
Honestly, that's been a theme of our entire trip.
Yeah.
Because people have been super nice and kind and welcoming. So we did that. The food was awesome. Everything was good. Like, we would just stop in somewhere quick. Like, breakfast that one day, we just popped in somewhere, and everything's picturesque. We're talking, like, edible flowers on it. And affordable.
And I think I had maybe the best appetizer I've ever had, and it was octopus and sweet potato, which sounds like a crazy combo.
But it worked.
But it smacked. It was so good.
good.
Yeah. I would definitely go back. I wanted to go back on our last night just specifically to get that. We kind of ran out of time. But, yeah, the reason we went to Lisbon was because there was a big singer that was having a concert there, Paramore.
Hayley Williams. She had a shorter concert before someone else had a concert.
Yeah. But she killed it.
I'd never seen Paramore before. She was awesome. Or they were all awesome. But, like, she was just high kicking around the stage, sprinting back and forth. I was getting exhausted because, obviously, we're, like, talking about the Taylor Swift concert. And so it's a big stage. And she's just, like, running back and forth, belting notes that I don't know how she does it.
I don't understand how you sprint, and don't start huffing and puffing while you're trying to sing. It's crazy. Got to be super conditioned, but she killed it. And it was cool because we were in a different country, and everybody was, like, singing along. I was like, what's going on here?
That's got to be...
Y'all know these Paramore songs?
A surreal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, I can't remember who it was. Someone was like, one, I bet people knew Paramore, and then I also think that Taylor Swift's fan base is so dedicated, we'll use that word, that they would learn the opener songs just to scream it too, which is, I mean, a pretty cool thing.
It's probably a little bit of both, for sure.
But there's one moment where everyone was just like screaming and yelling, and she just looked like genuinely overcome with gratitude for the moment.
Yeah, I think she might have cried real tears.
Yeah,
it looked like she probably did, which was pretty cool.
And, I mean, it's crazy. They were a band like when the drummer was 11, guitarist was 12, and she was 13. It was when they formed a band. Like, that's nuts. Imagine you're a junior high band playing a stadium in another country, another continent.
It'd be so cool.
That would be insane. But Taylor Swift came on. I liked the show a lot more than you.
I didn't dislike the show.
Yeah, it's just the production doesn't really do anything for you, and I appreciate more of that than you do. And so you're like, it was a good show. I think is the way you would have left it.
Yeah, it was good. She obviously has a great voice,
which we couldn't hear.
Yeah. So I think the biggest takeaway from the biggest thing that subtracted from the concert was there were these girls behind us, probably high school. I would say like
they were young,
screaming the words to every song, like slow songs, hype songs, doesn't matter. They're screaming off beat, off pitch, but they do know the words. So at least they got 1 out of 3.
Yeah, they knew every word right. They didn't know the timing, the key.
But it was horrible. And I had brought earplugs because I was worried about screeching fans plus just the sound of the concert because we were pretty close. And so initially I started out with an earplug on the side of all the speakers. But when I heard the girls, I switched it and put it on the other side. So that kind of helped a little bit. But overall, good concert. Yeah, I wasn't wowed. Like, I thought that maybe I would have been with the production just based on how everybody talks about it. This might ruffle some feathers. I didn't think the production was that much crazier than other concerts I've been to, but it was 3 hours. So, I mean, it was just like continuously different stuff, which was cool. She just changed her outfit a couple times, which doesn't hype me up, but it might help hype other people up.
I think that when you're saying that, like the screen and stuff is what you're like, a LED wall and stuff is what you're saying. But like,
there were dancers,
right? But like sets, were brought out and changed. Like all the other stuff that went into it. Like you're comparing it, I think, to like when you see one person have like a 1-song performance and it's like done up on TV or something, and she had like that for the length of 45 songs. You know what I mean?
Maybe, probably
like,
not.
What concert have you had like a similar production at?
I guess like the running around and stuff I haven't had at any concert. But like, yeah, the screen stuff for sure is at every concert I've been to.
Yeah, but it's normally just an LED wall. This one's like the full stage, the stage that goes down, comes back up.
Yeah.
There's, like you're saying, like the background dancers, the actual physical sets that came out on it too.
Basically, I thought it was going to be something crazy, and it was kind of something like, I mean, it looked like a halftime Super Bowl show.
Yeah.
Which, again, doesn't wow me in a way.
Right, but I think it is crazy to go from like a one halftime Super Bowl show that's, 20 minutes to a world tour that's 3.5 hours and do the same thing at the same level. That, too, I think is what is crazy about the production value of it.
Right. I guess that's just something I don't care about as much. But for some people, they love it. So.
Right, which is why, back to what I was saying, is that I enjoyed it. I appreciate that stuff more than you. You're more of just like the music and experience of it. It was very hard. I try not, I say this not wanting to sound mean, but it was very hard to enjoy the show because of the people singing behind us. That's all I was like neurotic, that's all I could hear.
Yeah. And it was a long show, which I'm sure if you're like big into every song, it's great. But
I even get tired of it.
3 hours is a long time to be at a show.
It is a long, 45 songs is a lot.
Yeah.
So then the next morning, everyone else except for you, me, and Caitlin are flying out, take them to the airport, pick up a rental car because we were going to go all the way to Porto. Porto. I don't know why I said it so accented. Porto. Going to go up to Porto, which is supposed to be beautiful. It's kind of, rivers running through it on the side of mountains and wine country and all these things. But it was going to be like 3-hour drive, right?
Yeah.
And we're like,
3-hour drive both ways.
Both ways. We're like, I don't know. It feels like we're trying to do a little bit too much. We're exhausted at this point. Mm-hmm. So we're like, let's just go up to Nazaré, which we were going to hit anyway. And then we'll start at Nazaré and work our way down. And so we go up there. And I mean, that felt like an unreal experience to me. It wasn't pumping. It wasn't like, it's still probably like 6-foot waves, but looked flat for Nazaré.
Right. I don't even think they're 6-foot waves, dude. They look pretty small overall.
Think so?
Yeah, from what I could tell, it didn't look very big. I don't know. Anyway, it has the biggest waves in the world at the right time of the year. And then walking out and looking and see it completely flat was kind of crazy.
The best way that I would describe it is almost felt like a museum because you're looking at all the boards of like both world records for like men and women. The largest wave ever surfed was there. The dudes was I think 86 feet. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at the boards there. You've got pictures.
Women's was 78.
78. Yeah. That's the only one I remember.
Yeah, I just wanted to give
Hey, I appreciate
after
that.
kind of like downplaying the Taylor Swift concert.
You feel guilty?
Need a little bit of give back. I don't feel guilty. Not at all. But
no. I'm glad you remembered that because I couldn't remember if it was 70s.
Yeah, I think it was 78.
So it was 78 in an 86-foot wave, which is insane. Those boards were there. You're looking around, crazy photographs and things. And you're walking out. You like see the same lighthouse. You see the same cliff that you've seen in pictures. And so it was weird because it almost felt like you were at a museum because when you look at the waves, it's flat.
Yeah, like a historical museum. Like at one point in time, this happened.
Yeah, this is like this castle, and this is where the king was. And here's a picture of this.
But it will happen again. The wave is going to come back. Yeah. Which is like the weird part because it did feel like you were at like a historical museum, but it's like this happens.
It's still an ongoing
happens
thing.
Every year.
Yeah, it's just summer right now.
And being in that spot was sweet. You could just feel like that place can get crazy. You could tell.
They had in the museum inside, it had the ocean floor mapped out on one of those like 3D maps, and it was saying that at the deepest point it was 5,000 meters, right?
Yeah, I think
5,000, and it just channels in, and that's what like forms this crazy wave. And I didn't know what the smallest it breaks there at, but at a surf shop there, the guy was saying that at some point like 6 meters, so like 18, 20 feet, 20 feet, it'll break, which is a huge wave, but that's
big. Yeah, there's a lot of force behind those waves too. They're not skinny waves; they're big, fat ones.
No, it's just open ocean, 5,000 meter deep, and all of a sudden breaking.
And the quotes from everybody that had surfboards up there, you could just tell like that's a place that is respected because of how like deadly, dangerous it is. You got to be a different kind of animal to ride one of those.
And there's
waves.
rocks there.
Yeah, you won't catch me out there.
No,
not anytime soon. Maybe
soon.
one day.
What, toe in?
Dude,
toe in Nazaré?
I don't think I would ever, like a 20-foot wave, I don't think I would ever come close to that. That's crazy. It would be cool to like catch it at like the smallest it would break, but still 20 feet is
and he was saying you still have to toe in for that because of like
fat.
The shape of the wave. It's not like you can paddle in, which there are definitely like some that you probably could do at like 20 feet. That's like upper end of paddling in, but possible.
Right.
But then we go, when we were getting the rental car in the morning, we're asking the guy, we're like, hey, we were going to go to Porto. We don't think we're going to do that anymore. Any recommendations around Nazare? And he's like, yeah, go to Peniche. And so I think it was like 40 minutes from there, maybe even less. Drive down a little bit, check out Peniche. Was awesome. It was an island formed off of volcano?
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yeah, like there's a little point off of Peniche. Peniche is just like the town.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's like this little point you can walk out on that's pretty sweet. It's like formed from a volcano, just like cliffs right into the ocean. There's also a little cave we found that there was a legend about a shipwreck happening there and some famous painting surviving
Some
the
Our
shipwreck.
Lady.
Yeah, it's called Our Lady, a painting of Our Lady, which I'm assuming is like Mother Mary or something. Or like a queen. I don't know.
Is it up in a church now?
Yeah, it's up in a church now, so I'm assuming it's like Mary. But anyway, apparently it washed up into this cave and was saved. That's the legend, at least. So cool area. I think one of the coolest things about Portugal is because it was my first time, at least in Europe, and there's so much history. Like things happened thousands of years ago versus like
hundreds.
Hundreds in America.
It was just nuts, and so we soaked in those views. And then we're like, all right, we had gotten up earlier. We had been pretty tired from the trip. So we were like, let's just go back to Lisbon, grab dinner. And then at 4:30 that next morning, we had to go take Caitlin to the airport. So did that. And then we're like, all right, onward, going south.
Went South Portugal, along the coastline. The whole coastline is just sweet. Kind of like Madeira. It's just cliffs into the ocean. Different kind of cliffs, though. It kind of reminds you of like Southern California driving through, like on, like past... What is that place called? Big Sur. It's kind of like Big Sur-ish, but like maybe a little bit smaller. Just like the cliffs that go into the ocean. But I think going to Nazare the day before really put a surf bug in me because I was on a mission to find some surf. Joe also wanted to surf, but
you were determined.
I was like, I gotta surf in Portugal.
I was like, I would if it works out, would love to. And so you find this spot. That's the first spot we go to, right?
Yeah.
We like grab coffee, then we go to this spot. We get there probably 7:30ish.
And online, it said, there's a surf shop rental shack
on the beach.
I'm like, that's perfect because we have a car.
Small car. No boards, obviously. First off, we're like, are we on the wrong way? We hit this dirt road. There's some campers. We roll up there. There's a huge parking lot, but not a soul there. Nobody there. And definitely no surf rental there.
No.
But this spot, it wasn't crazy, but it looked like the surf was pretty good. A little bit choppy, but like definitely rideable, and we could have had it all to ourselves. It looked just, I don't know, like you were saying, the cliffs going in, the waves. It just felt like it would have been an amazing time.
It would have been a sweet spot to surf, but there's nobody there.
Yeah, the one time you don't want nobody there or don't want anybody there, there's nobody there.
Yeah, right. We needed one person to be there with some surfboards for us to rent. But it just wasn't in the cards. We even flew the drone up and around, like down the beach. Like, is there a surf shack?
Let's do some reconnaissance. Do we see
really hoping we would find a surf shack, but we did not. So we continued down the coast. We come up to this other little town that honestly is shaped a lot like Nazare is. It has a big, cliff area, a little beach tucked away, and then back to cliffs. Just beautiful little town. Get there, and we're looking at the surf from the top.
Well, before that, because we stop, you find a surf shop. You're like, you know what? Even if we can't go surfing, let's at least go to a surf shop. Maybe they know something. And so we roll up.
Yeah, I was really trying to find something.
Yeah, and it's like a little bit off, and so we weren't super optimistic, but we're like, let's just check it out. Whatever, let's go. So we walk in. There's two surf shops across the street. One was like a more standard one, and this one is kind of almost like a hut. Like it felt like private. I was going to say privately owned. Like, I don't know, like this is someone's like their shop that they opened. We walk in, you pick up the board, and the lady's like, careful, my heart. And so then we start, like, you're like, I was watching out, being careful, but like, we're just curious, like, are there any board rentals? Are there any like good places to surf? And she's like, I don't know, like, it's pretty small today and cold, but like, if you want, you can just drive down to the beach.
She didn't sell Joe on it at all.
Yeah, because at this point, I was like,
cold.
We went to a place, we're good to go, and she's like, yeah, but it's just gonna be small, cold, and I'm like, Like if we get wetsuits, maybe if it's like better than that, like I'll freeze and like we'll see how it goes. And so we're like, what the heck? Like either way, let's go see this beach. We drive down, and that's when we go up to that top cliff. That's kind of like the Nazare lighthouse.
The sweet part about there being cliffs everywhere is you can check the surf super easy without going down to the beach.
And when we're driving down, we pass a surf rental, and we're like, and it's open, it's a shack. We're like, maybe things are happening. Some people are. We also see a lot of boards on cars, and so we're like,
they're still on the car.
Yeah, is that a good or a bad sign?
I don't know. But we get up to the viewpoint, and it's breaking. It's not big.
No.
And it is cold. It's not super cold.
Yeah, because she had told us it's like 15 degrees Celsius in the water. Well,
I was talking about the air temperature. It still wasn't warm out yet.
Air temperature is colder and windy.
Yeah.
Water temperature is 15 degrees Celsius.
And I'm like, dude, I think I want to do it. And Joe's like, let's go down to the beach first and check. Which, looking back, was probably a tough move because the surf rental is all the way to the top of the mountain or cliff.
We should have just gotten a little information before.
Yeah, maybe we should have at least checked to see if they were open, blah, blah, blah.
But it's packed. So we go down and like tons of people are out surfing. It looked like there were a bunch of just like surf schools. It looked like people were practicing on the beach and then going out there. And there were a few people getting some decent waves. But like, I was like, I don't know, Alan. Like, it's cold, pretty small, packed. Like, if one of those were different, I think I'll get out there. And we have no wetsuits. We have nothing. And you're like, you know what? I got to surf in Portugal. I'm going to go check it out.
I was just itching to. I had to. It's been too long.
Yeah, it has been too long.
So I hike up the hill. I mean, it's a pretty steep hill. Anyway, I get up, and I don't think I told you about this. I went to the left first, and there was a different surf shop. And I walked in, and I was like, hey, do you have any surf rentals? And she was like that was the only rude person I saw on this whole trip. She was like, no, not today. All booked. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, do you know of any other places around? And she was just like, no, not today. Everywhere's closed. Oh, dude, I guess I'm just going to walk back down. And I almost just walked back down the hill. But something hit me. I was like, I got to go check another spot and just see. So I walked up the hill. Surfboard rental was $15 for 4 hours. Wetsuit rental was $10. And I almost just grabbed it and came down. I wasn't going to ask you because it sounded like you didn't want to.
Yeah.
But then right then, Joe hit me with a text. I think I got to him. He was like itching a little bit. He's like, how much? And I was like, oh, yeah, we got him in here now. So ended up renting a board. We only had like an hour and a half, maybe an hour in the water because we were kind of on a time crunch. But I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, we tried to stay away from the crowd or like on the edge of the crowd. We went a little too far where it wasn't breaking. And I'm like, we got to go back. Like, we're not going to catch anything here because we would go for stuff, feel like we're in great position. The wave would just be dead. So we're like, all right, let's go over here. We got to get a couple waves. Then we went for one together. And
we tried to get the party wave.
Tried to party wave it. I had no momentum. I'm like, I'm not even going to bother standing up. And I look over and I'm like, Alan at least stood up on it.
Let's go.
And then you caught another one right after that. And I was like, all right, let's go. And then we had like a few decent rides and like called it a day to keep going down.
Yeah, I'm just glad we got some waves in Portugal, especially after going to Nazaré. That was big time. But we had big plans to go to the Benagil Caves, I think is what you call it, in southern Portugal. And online it looks sweet. It's just this big sea cave right off the ocean. We had maybe an hour and a half max to like kayak out there and stuff. But I read that there were kayak rentals right on the beach, so that's easy. It's like a couple 100-yard paddle. It's not a big deal. Get there, tours only, no kayak rental, which is the worst.
The worst.
Just going on a tour is way different than exploring it on your own. And sometimes a tour can be cool, but there were tons of tours this day, and each tour had probably 20 kayaks in it. Not only were they doing kayak tours, boat tours, like big boats with probably 20 or 30 people in those. And we look out, and there's just a line of boats waiting to get in this cave.
We're like, count us out here.
We both just decided that
we couldn't have even done the kayak tour because it would have put us too late because we saw boat tours that were 30 minutes or an hour. And so I asked the guy, I was like, so when's the next kayak? And he was like, 4:30. I think it was at like around 4 at the time. I was like, okay, so like maybe if we do the 30-minute one, we can squeeze in. I was like, so 30-minute, an hour? And he's like, no, that's boat, hour and a half. I was like, well, can't do that. Definitely don't want to do the boat. Yeah. But there's a hike. Like you can stroll up to the top of the cliffs and look around, and there's one that you can look in. So we're like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so we did the little hike, and obviously not the same experience as going in the cave, but we got to see it. Got to fly the drone along the coast there, which is cool because you could see a lot of the cave outcroppings, and there was a couple of arches that you could see. Just overall a bummer, though, because we really wanted to do the caves, and looking back, if we would have known that, we could have tried to figure out where to rent a kayak somewhere else and maybe kayak in from up or down the coast.
Right. But then we would have missed the surfing, and who knows if we even could have done that.
So hopefully we find something like that in Majorca, because that's an island that has similar cliffs and things like that too.
Which is where we're heading, because then all that to end, we get to the airport in Faro maybe. I don't really know how to say it yet. The bottom, southernmost part of Portugal. Then we fly to Madrid, which is where we're recording this episode right now. We're going to go see my brother in Senegal next week, and then Majorca, and then Prague. And so we'll have more stuff from there. And then we're going to have the drone, all these other things. We have some cool videos that are going to be coming probably in like a month. Got to get back and then start editing, hopefully sooner, but that'll be coming to YouTube, which is awesome. But anything else you would like to say on it? I loved so far. Portugal was
overall,
incredible.
Portugal, first country I've been to in Europe, and it was awesome. I loved it. The people were super nice. Madeira felt like the safest place in the world. We asked people about crime, and they were just like, it doesn't really happen here. There's no snakes. There's no predator, big predator animals, like mammals or anything.
Because the only mammal was a bat.
Only native mammal is a bat. So, they've brought over, rabbits and things like that, but there's no big mammals. Super safe place, kind of sketchy drive sometimes, but overall, Portugal was sweet. I will say the one thing about Portugal that was a little tougher than we anticipated was Portuguese is not as similar to Spanish as most people probably think it is. I was kind of thinking we know a little bit of Spanish, we know English, we're probably going to be good. Most people there knew English, luckily, but when we tried to communicate with people that only spoke Portuguese, it was not easy. The words are way different.
I mean, think about all the ones in English to Spanish that are fairly similar.
Yeah.
And maybe it was slightly more than that, but they were very distinct separate languages, which shame on me, I guess, for not knowing that, but did not know
Yeah, me
that.
too. I thought they were just basically the same.
And we knew they were different languages, but I thought that you can communicate in one or the other if you know them.
Yeah,
wasn't the case. Or at least on our level of Spanish.
Yeah.
But we decided for the draft today, we were we could do something about travel or whatever else, but we're no, let's do something far more important, far more relevant.
Something
to the world.
that everybody knows about.
Everyone knows about it. Colors. We are drafting our favorite colors.
Favorite colors.
You might ask, what are these colors for? If you could only have 5 colors to use for things, painting a wall, wearing clothes to wear, looking at, making art, I guess. Pretty much anything.
Saying if you went colorblind?
I think, it's just our favorite colors.
Whatever you want to make it.
We have color names that I've found on Pinterest. It looks like 30 different colors to choose from. So we're not opening it up to everything. There's these 30 colors.
Basically, so we wouldn't argue about it anymore.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm going to kick it off. Best color out there, gray. Give me gray. I don't know what it is about gray. A little bit of black, a little bit of white. Nothing crazy. It's just a kind of a subtle color. But this is gray. Shorts are gray. Lots you can do with gray. It's kind of a wild first pick, I feel like.
That was a wild first pick. Because also, for anyone who's not looking at the colors and arguing with us about this, we are considering grayscale to be colors too. Not be gray is not a color.
Yeah.
So that's a fair pick. You took gray. Was not expecting this. I'm taking black and white.
Nice.
As my second one.
Fun.
Wow, we have gray, black, and white as our first 3 colors.
First 3 colors off the board: gray, black, and white.
I was expecting you to take one, either black or white, and I was going to take the other one.
Yeah,
but you gave me both. That's a killer combo.
That is a killer combo.
Yeah,
but I really like gray, man. Just had to do gray.
Happy for you. I can take silver later, or you can take it now.
Yeah, I looked at that after I drafted gray. Silver being on there, I feel like it's kind of whack, but I should have.
You agreed upon this before.
I know. I didn't look at them until now.
That's wild.
I know. I blew it.
They've been up here the whole episode.
Yeah, I've actually been engaged in the episode instead of looking at the colors. Gray, huge. Let me go gold.
Ooh.
Because I know you're going to take silver. I can't let you have silver and gold too. That'd be tough. Black, white, silver, gold.
Yeah.
And give me. Ooh. I'll take blue.
Ooh. Okay.
I like blue.
I like that. give me turquoise. That's my favorite color. And I was worried if I took black and white, you would take that. But I thought there's a better chance that you would take black or white if I didn't take it than turquoise. So I got black,
I
white.
almost took turquoise there.
That's good to know because you got just the straight blue, which is, it's a good hue here.
Yep.
But I've got black, white, and turquoise. Those are like, that is my favorite color combination right there.
Black, white, and turquoise all together?
Yeah. Like, dreamed about having a boat that's those three.
Yeah.
I mean, love that. I
need to see something with that combo.
I'll find some stuff for you. It's a crisp combo.
Find something for me.
Then I've got one more pick right here. I think because I'm thinking about all of mine in terms of the combination right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad strategy, but that's what I'm doing.
I'm just looking at colors.
Give me then dark red. So not maroon's still on there.
Oh.
This one is it right in between red and maroon. It's the shade they've got right now called dark red.
Nice.
I feel like that works well. Little color pop in there. Almost went. I'll save it for later. Never mind.
So you took turquoise. I'm going to take aqua.
Mm-hmm. It's neighbor.
Real close. Good color.
I honestly almost took turquoise and aqua. I love that pick.
Yeah, aqua's good. Blue and aqua.
So this is your final one right now. You've got
final pick.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. This went by quicker
Gray
than I thought.
golden, aqua, blue.
Tough, dude.
That is tough.
Where do you go from here? Oh boy. I'm just going to go green. I like green.
That's a good green.
Yeah.
If they'd had like a more of an olive green, I think I might would have gone that way.
Yeah.
My last pick, the chocolate that it has on here is more of like a lighter brown, and it's kind of nice. The boat that I always make, it was like a black boat with the turquoise accents and then leather, or like not leather, but it's like that kind of brown upholstery. Would have been sick. Don't have the money for it. Probably never will. Could do silver here. I think I'm going to go with wheat, though. I don't know if that's too close. Yeah, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to have black, white, and wheat because that's like a natural wood color. Because imagine if you're like doing a drawing, like you're creating something and you're having to fill in the wood. And you're like, what color am I going to make for wood? I guess it's got to be either red or white or black.
Right.
Now I can do the wheat. I think that fits together. Complements. It's like a beige, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty strong team. Wheat, dark red, turquoise, black and white.
Yeah. Probably stronger than mine. I got gray, blue, turquoise, green, and wait, do I get another pick? Or golden? I have
golden, yeah.
Yeah. So,
nice. You think I win?
I'll give you the win on this.
Yes, let's go. I'll take it. I don't care if it's something as relevant as colors. I'm glad that you gave me something.
Win. And you know why I didn't draft black or white first?
Because you didn't.
Because I 100% thought that you would think those are boring, and I didn't think you would draft either of them.
No, black and white are my favorite colors.
Wow.
So actually,
I've always seen you as more of like a colorful guy.
My favorite is contrasting a color with either.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not know that about you, or I would have not picked gray first, but that's okay.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah. I'm going to lose it.
I'm glad. I mean, those are literally my top 3 favorite colors. Yeah. So I'm pumped.
Nice. Let's go. See what you do with them.
Peace.